It's doing its thing. It's doing a little bit of reset. Reticulating the splines on a Wednesday, which is the best day to reticulate splines. Some people know what I'm talking about. The other people, you can get off my lawn. I'm old. I remember playing that on a Macintosh. Because it was considered educational, and we had exactly one game in the computer lab. It was SimCity. Hey, beautiful people, how's it going? We're getting ready for a weekly Daily Wednesdays, and just kind of talk about some of the things that we found interesting going on in the world of open source. How's everybody doing? I'm looking for the timer video. There we go. 10 minutes. Spin City.
I liked SimCity. When you placed the power lines, it was very clearly someone saying bzz. I don't know why, but that stuck with me like forever. It's like, no, that is clearly someone going bzz.
Bzz. Yeah.
Used to be able to get away with a lot more in games. Used to have fun in games. Can't have fun with the games anymore.
Yeah.
Hey, Pennywise.
What's up, Pennywise? Remember, if anything happens to Jill or Pedro's boxes, that's the guy to blame.
Yep, that's him.
Aw.
They're working fine, Pennywise. Which I'm guessing, like under load, because these are effectively going to be under 100% load. They get up to about 60 with stock cooler. That seems legit.
Oh, yeah, that's normal.
You're welcome. LGC cares. Boop. Let's pull that live up. I am double checking all the things because we are coming to you live from Debian 10, the latest, most cutting edge distribution known to humankind. It even has this advanced new version of Firefox. They call it ESR.
Yeah. Yeah.
To be fair, I use Firefox ESR at work because I'd rather use Firefox ESR 32-bit in 64-bit Windows than fricking Internet Explorer. Yeah, because a lot of NHS websites still need Java. Frickin' Java.
But you don't like vintage browsing?
No. So yeah, you basically have two choices. ESR 32-bit or Internet Explorer 11. Which Microsoft themselves have said, it's not a browser, it's a compatibility solution. Stop using it. But no, it still defaults to that.
It's Microsoft, man. Come on. They're trying.
Linux can Mosaic. So whip out the Mosaic every once in a while and play with it.
Yeah, I don't. I have better things to do in my life.
Man. It's fun.
Whatever that
Living
bug
the
is.
dream.
Yeah. I just assume that not wanting to go back into the dark days is proof that I do not have early onset Alzheimer's. I'm like, no, I remember that sucking. Clear as day. No, I don't need to revisit that. I'm good.
I like old laptops, but part of the fun of that is getting them to run well enough that they can run a modern operating system.
Yeah, getting too busy. I appreciate the drive behind it. I get it. It's one of those things. It's like, yeah, it's not hurting anything. All right, go for it. Me?
And most of them tend to find a new home. Granted, most of them probably have Windows 10 installed at this point, but they leave my hands with Ubuntu or, yeah, it's usually Ubuntu.
Okay, I'll be right back watching Taco Clock.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
Netscape Navigator was the thing when I was in university, man. It was like something that I took classes on because client-side Java on the web was the future.
Yes.
Dude. That didn't work. Because
There
we had
was
Flash.
There was a brief moment in time that the computers at my secondary school had Netscape Navigator. Then Firefox came out, it's like, okay.
I remember the summer job I was working, and I was doing Flash development, and I had a Mac G4, G5. Nothing about Mac. I mean, it probably took me a solid 10 minutes to figure out how to install Netscape Navigator because it had IE on it, and I didn't want to use it out of principle.
Well, IE on Mac was better than whatever the hell the precursor to Safari was.
I had no idea, man. Like, I just remember, it was like, I thought this was an easy operating system to use. Come on. It's like a package thing that you had to drag, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how you installed it. You drag the .app folder, because it is a folder.
I'm not a clever person. I mean, oh man, you see, yeah, lemons and oranges. You need to like do that on an egg.
You need to implant that mold inside a chicken? I'm just saying, it's a lot easier on a tree.
Calm down, Mangla.
Hey, you're the one who wanted to do that on an egg.
I didn't say in utero.
When it comes out of the chicken, it already looks oblong.
Could have been a like Easter egg monster.
That's only called an egg because of the shape. It would just be an Easter cube.
Boom. Okay. Had a gopher. Man, I wish I had a gopher. I don't know what I'd do with a gopher. I do know I shouldn't own a gopher and a trebuchet.
Trebuchet. Yeah, I'd be arrested very quickly if I had a trebuchet.
I think subconsciously I realized this is one of the rare projects I've not went Mythbusters on in my backyard. I'm like, I'll just build this.
But it's tiny, it can't cost that much, and there goes the car.
Tiny, son. I'm thinking of making lumber.
I was thinking backyard projects. It's, you know, something that when it's up goes to like chest high. It's like, okay.
See, I'm the carnival ride in our neighborhood because I live in an uppity. I'm the guy who gets away. I don't even get away with it half the time, but I'm expected. I'm the lower class individual. The one that still likes to have fun. What's that, Mr. Alert? What did you say, user 6875?
You could have copied the proper image link.
Nah, man, it's too mainstream, man.
It's like a 2x2 Rubik's Cube with Happy Easter.
Oh, okay. It's a weird holiday to celebrate if you look at it. I mean, it's a fertility thing, but all right, whatever.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna
Waste more time
this.
telling us
I'll
what
be
you're
back.
going to go do?
Yes.
Got it. An Easter cube.
What?
Man, it needs to be like a 11D-dimensional hyper time cube.
Oh. Yeah, it is an Easter cube.
I don't know, man. Rubik's cubes are... I never got into that. It's fascinating. Some people, they have like Rubik's Cube competitions, and
No.
I understand it.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually got pretty good at them.
Go get one. Let's see how quick you can do it.
I don't have one anymore.
Oh,
But I did it one time in 5 minutes, which was my record.
I'm
But
talking
that
about
was
these
years ago.
cats that are like doing it in like 12, 13 seconds. I'm like, what?
Oh, I know.
That blows my mind. Behind their back.
Oh, yeah.
Then shortly after that, I'm like, do you know how much practice one is? Like, I'm more interested in like, this is what I do now. I Rubik's Cube getting home. You're like, so man, you want to go out? Nope. Got a Rubik's Cube right now. Hypercubes? No? Afternoon. Is it afternoon where you're at, Chi?
Good afternoon, Chi. Yep, it's past noon.
Well, it's past 12 o'clock. You can start drinking now. I won't judge you.
Maybe a little bit tonight when I get to my destination.
Oh. He's got to consume. Is riding in a car with Steve that bad?
No. No.
22:13. It's 3:13 here. It's always afternoon somewhere. Man, Strider, I love you. You're the only one that can bring nihilism. It's afternoon.
Yeah.
All right.
Wow, Linux Canero, I'm so excited for you. I can't wait. And you can go visit Empty as you please.
You ever seen that first episode of Lost?
Mm-hmm.
Totally unrelated. Just
Yeah, but for some reason I felt like I should bring that up, but nah, don't worry about it.
don't know where that came from. All right.
Oh yeah, WoW Classic. Apparently during the beta test, the queue to join the server was several thousands of hours. People couldn't even join the it was just pointless. You either got in immediately or it's like forget it.
I think Steve Husband may be home.
Hmm?
I think Steve Husband may be home. I'm hearing little sounds back there. He had to go and we got a rental because our car needs some work.
Mm.
Take care of that.
What, don't
hi,
shops
Dad.
over there offer you like a loaner car while yours is being fixed?
Yep.
Okay.
and that's what it got. But apparently the dealership that usually has an Enterprise right there on campus doesn't
Mhm.
have that anymore. So they had to drive
Oh.
him to another location, and it was a
Okay.
big pain in the yeah.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
When I had to leave my my Mazda, I don't remember exactly why, but I think it was because someone rear-ended Nori, and it's like, okay, let's just get the back end fixed since their insurance is paying. It's whatever. And I left it there for a couple of days, and they're like, would you like a loaner car? It's like, oh, I didn't know that was an option. Yes, I would.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Comes in handy.
Yeah. And that's how I know that I don't like the Renault Clios. They are not.
Mm.
No. They are really. I mean, the Mazda 2 wasn't exactly expensive. It is actually one of the cheapest if you're not going for the super teeny tiny cars. It is very, very cheap. but it doesn't feel cheap once you're in it. Everything has a very good finish. It's still plastic, but it looks very nice. It's all very pretty. And that Renault Clio is like, oh my god, I can smell the plastic.
Oh yeah, and don't they like they're not as tight?
Yeah, and it squeaked a lot. You close the door and you would hear.
That was
Really?
my recollection of being in one. Yeah.
Yeah, no, you started off with a pretty good car there, Jill. Totally not jelly.
Yeah, Jack, so right after the show, I'm headed off to San Diego. Yay! With the Linux chicks.
Oh, you guys are taking the loaner to San Diego?
Yeah. Yeah. we planned this just right.
Yeah, someone's gonna have a look at the miles on it. It's like,
Yeah.
where did you go?
Well, you know, we actually did have to get a rental anyways because we have too many people. So
All right,
fit,
okay.
fit in our car. So we kind of had to do it. Anyways, but this just worked out nicely. So
What are you talking about, Jill? Did you guys steal a car?
yeah, we have a rental.
Yeah, Steve just stole one and he came home just now, real stealthy.
Yeah.
All right, give me a check 1, 2, Jill.
Okay. Check 1, 2, check 1, 2. This is actually turned out to be a really big show this week. It started out kind of slow news and turns out there's lots to talk about. Yay.
I think I'll be able to dial around with that. 635 miles. Oh, what? Nice. That's impressive.
Linux Gunner in Africa.
Yeah.
Yeah, diesel Mercs from the 70s, man. Those things don't.
Wow. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Jack. Yeah, you have fun going to visit Evan. He's taken my nephew Evan back to school at Cal State Chico on Friday, his last semester. He's so excited. Last semester. But he's interning at a hospital.
Oh, nice.
I'm so proud of him.
That looks about right. I think we should be. That's on output. That ready to go. And I think we have already have easy sync issues all sorted out, which is nice.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah, Jack.
Three. There we go. Jill will get a 5 ratio for compression. That should work. Last semester. Oh, no, it's not. No, it's not, Jelly. No, it's not.
It's like, Dad, I need a place to live. Dad, I need a car.
Dude.
Oh, he already has all that. So that's Evan has works too, so he's earned his way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We get the whole thing of like, oh, right, my undergraduate, and hey, Bob, I want to get my master's. She's like, have fun with that. It's like,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and that's how I accrued 75,000 in debt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, fortunately Evan has some help, but he was raised like me and my brother. We did everything ourselves.
Feral outside,
So
tied to trees. Not allowed to wear shoes.
I miss my money.
How are you going to climb
Yeah.
the trees if you don't have toes?
Let's see.
Oh, I feel for you, Linux Gennaro. I'm so happy I did not have to do that because I was able to I got financial aid, I got grants. I wouldn't have been able to go to Cal State. Wasn't for financial aid because all my money I earned went to medical bills.
Yeah, good. That way, sort of kind of glad that Portuguese university is a bit cheaper.
Yeah.
Because the 7 years,
Nice.
well, my master's was technically 5 years, but the first 2 years I was there, they decided, you know what, we're going to completely change the curriculum and not give you any credit for any of the courses that you have finished and you have good marks on. We're just not going to account for those.
That's wrong.
So that's
Yeah.
2 years down the drain. It's like, thanks, dicks.
Yeah, they're not here in the US. They can't do stuff like that. They're the local schools are good about if they change the curriculum about matriculating you in. I have to do it with my students because I sometimes get students that come back from like 20 years ago.
There's that ray of sunshine I was looking for, Strider. Thanks. It's time to get started.
I
Matthew.
paid my tuition before like school year was even started for every year in university. It's like, okay, summer job,
Nice.
I get to work full time, and all the money just tuition. There.
Very good. Yeah.
We ready?
Mhm.
Yes.
Yes,
Sound
we
like a
are.
go? All right. You want to zoom that camera a little more, Pedro? Don't fucking touch.
Is that a dare?
That was a test. I'm trying to make sure you're far away from that remote.
It's in the drawer. I could probably find it.
All right, kids, buckle up.
Okay.
And let me get to the top of the show notes. Groovy. For record. Okay, if it's going to catch on fire, it's going to do it now. Ooh, let's get that loaded. Okay. One more thing. Jeez. Where's the Discord?
Mhm.
Preemptive refresh.
You know, it actually held out well enough yesterday for this stream.
Well, Pedro, I heard that because you were running a mainstream commodity GPU with like the long-lived stable as F drivers, that's probably what's causing the artifacting.
You know, the 418 series that has basically the same thing as the main 418 series and the new Vulkan. Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah.
Is it using Vulkan? No?
No?
Right.
Yeah, the long-lived branch, the ones that ship with Debian 10. It's like, yeah, that's probably it. Yeah. All right.
It only happens, or at least it's only noticeable while I'm streaming, or OBS is recording it.
I don't know. Let's go.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all right, it's working. Completely new box, everyone, so bear with me.
No problem.
Oh, I was talking to everyone at home, Joe. You guys don't have a choice. You're stuck.
Yeah, we're stuck.
I'm in this monitor. Someone get me out.
Right?
Yeah. That was good, Pedro.
Shut up, Zod. In 3, 2, and welcome back to Linux Weekly,
Hello.
daily Wednesdays, where we can sit back, relax, take that midweek break, talk about the things that we personally found going going interesting. Yes, roll with it, Vin. In the world of Linux, open source, floss, all the fun stuff. And Vin, that is Jill, who's getting ready to run out of screeching right after the show. And
Yeah.
Zod himself trapped in the lower monitor there. That is one Pedro Mateus, man.
I
How's
will
the
get
Phantom?
you, Kal-El.
Kal-El. Oh man, I can't believe they. Well, I take that back. Man. I can believe they canceled that because I watched the first series. I was like, this isn't, but it's canceled. It's like lovely,
Yeah.
lovely. Anyway, before we get into the nonsense, speaking about where are you going? Are you going to Vegas? Or are you going on like a drug-fueled trip? A party?
No. So right after the show, I'm leaving for the Open Source Summit North America in San Diego, put on by the Linux Foundation. And once again, Linux Foundation, thank you for giving the Linux Chicks LA a scholarship. And I will be doing some reporting for LWDW, of course, and come back with some interviews and walkthroughs.
Do you hear that, everyone? That was your warning. You see, Jill, you run.
Run.
Yeah. Catches you, you got to deal with it.
So anyone who's there wants to talk to me, you'll see me. I won't be hard to find. Hard to find.
Also, if you're talking to Jill, grab the mic, point it towards you.
Yeah, yes. That's the thing.
Oh man. So I'm a distro hopping Vin these days, man.
Yes.
Went to go party with Fedora because wanted to get DaVinci up and running right. Got that up and running right. DaVinci doesn't. It's its own beast. Ran some issues with Fedora, mainly that I like my system to shut down. Among some other things, Fedora, I love you. It's great for a desktop. It's just it was a bad idea to play with it in production. And really, the only LTS games that you have for something that has to do more like with a workstation is you got Ubuntu, you got Cent. And, if I could held out a little longer, Cent right now when that kernel's starting with 3, that's a little too long in the tooth. So I rolled over to Debian 10. This is the first time I've ever used Debian as a desktop. No, these two boxes don't count in
Yes.
this shot. I mean, these are running Debian 10, but these things are butter robots. They're running full metal real-time kernels. I mean, they boot into Chrome. That's their job. But, yeah, I stuck this together, got everything up and running. Of course, I ran into that's how we do things here in Debian land. Got that. No major gotchas. Did learn that Deb Multimedia Org, that's your friend.
Mm-hmm.
That's absolutely a thing if you want to play with that. And, if you want like FFmpeg out of the box with NV encode, there you go. Everything else, I would maybe offer this suggestion. If you're going to, and I don't care if you're Canonical, Susie, whoever, Fedora, if you're going to have the equivalent of a build essentials package, Pedro, hear me out. Do you think this is, maybe I'm asking too much, that just maybe it should include the stuff needed to, being an essentials package, it could, compile the kernel?
Yeah, that would be nice.
But I mean,
or even including the freaking what is it, the C++ compiler? Or isn't that a part of it now?
Well, to be fair, the kernel's not an essential part of a Linux. I mean,
what are you talking about? It's not like it's the heart of the wait a
it's
second.
the equivalent of DLC, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did that, and Debian, they ship real-time kernels if you do the RT, which is don't tread here if you have Blackmagic hardware or if you have NVIDIA cards. Even though there's an export variable to make that driver compile in real time, I don't suggest you do it. So I built a low latency kernel. I want to give just mad props to Canonical for actually really the only distribution I know that ships a low latency kernel, because the low latency preempt, which is not full metal RT, is available in the kernel. And they make that, they're like, oh, would you like to, I don't know, make music or multimedia on your system? Here's the option. Everybody else is like, figure it out, FOs.
No, we're targeting the desktop. Yeah, how's that going for you?
Yeah.
No, Canonical's great for that. I mean,
Yes.
that's actually very good. Pedro, how are things with you, sweetheart?
Very warm, but yeah, no, over here, the only news I have to report is that I gave one of my laptops away to Chat Realm person. I'm sure Zoe will let me know exactly just what is wrong with it, because she seems to be very good at that. But yeah, in the meantime, I got another old laptop that's very, very broken and a little manky in places.
I
And
feel
even
bad
after
for Nori. Nori had to go through a wide range of emotions. She's like, "Oh, you're getting rid of a laptop? Another one just."
Yes, another one just showed up.
balance in all things. So yeah, it's a Dell E4200. It is tiny. It's like netbook sized. It still needs a battery. It didn't come with half of the inner amenities, but it's working now. It just needs a battery. So looking forward to that.
Right on. So
Awesome.
when you get it up and running, the first thing we should install on it's Knoppix.
Yes. Oh,
we could
Knoppix
totally
would be
install
good.
Knoppix.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it is based on Debian 10 Buster. And, well, after 4 years of using Systemd, they have decided, you know what, let's just go back to init, because,
Yeah.
hey, people are used to, or people used to know init, at least to some degree, and it sort of kind of worked. So, yeah, Knoppix 8.6 is basically dropping Systemd altogether. They're going back to the old one, and everyone seems to be okay with that. Sort of.
Well, it's Knoppix, man. I mean,
Yeah.
you know what it is. You've heard about it, but you haven't been over to its house. It's that distribution. And I think I can say, is Systemd a hot, wet, stinky mess? Kinda. Shrug. Is in it? That's debatable too. And don't pretend it's not, okay? It's something I want to bring up.
Yeah.
But I don't have righteous hatred towards system. I'm just like, does it boot? All right.
Well, I have on many occasions, voiced my quibbles about Systemd basically being on track, if not already being there, to becoming the Linux equivalent of svchost.exe on Windows. And to anyone who's ever had to deal with Windows and look, there's an svchost.exe that's using 100% of a CPU thread.
Yeah.
What's it doing?
Yeah.
That's fine on Windows. You just kill the process, right?
And then blue screen of death.
Yeah. There we go. Yeah.
Yeah,
and,
it's...
yeah. And I agree with you, Vin. I actually like Systemd. But I think it is still great that Knoppix is going back to the Systemd to be Systemd free, like Dev 1, because being one of the first live CD distros, independence was built in the Knoppix philosophy, for sure. So I can see why they went back to initd again. And,
oh, man, they're not pawns and pawns for big Systemd, right?
Yeah.
Controlling the Linux ecosystem.
It took me a while to manage to wrestle myself away from the Dev 1 mailing list, because for some reason they would just not let me go. It's like, I already unsubscribed. Please let me go. Please. No, you should come back. The freedom of your init system. It's like, no.
Yeah. I get both sides, and especially server side. I think there's a better argument to be made against Systemd, but if you got something booting from web browsing, this is not a holy war I'm interested in. But if you are, that's cool too. We can still be friends at the end of the day. However,
speaking of alienating people,
in a move that really doesn't affect anything, but I wanted to touch on this before the internet lost its mind. And the upcoming Fedora 31, I'm going to stop producing and distributing basically the i686 repos. So before everyone panics, yet multi-arch still a thing. You're not going to notice this unless you're like, hey man, I can't wait. I just bought this shiny Just got out of my time machine with my brand new Pentium 4. Boy, I can't wait to install a distro. What do you mean Fedora 31 doesn't support i386? I'm outraged. If that's your use case, A, better use for your time machine. B, womp womp, too bad. But outside of that, this is good, right? For now.
Yeah, this is...
Yeah.
Most distros are already dropping their dedicated i686 or x86 underscore 32 being optional there. Just the 32-bit repos in general. This is inevitable. It makes sense. As long as the multi-libs stay and people are able to install Steam, I don't think anyone will mind.
Yeah.
Speaking of Steam, just go clawing back to Debian. That's a bit of an adventure, guys. I'm not saying that you might want to sort that.
Oh, yeah. Very true.
Installing Steam required some Googling.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, anyway, we want to share a little bit of love because
Yay.
the primary way we pay the bills here is to all the beautiful people supporting us through Patreon because, hey, we don't put ads on our stuff. And Slackware had some issues a while back. One of the ways the dude who was getting financed, he had a merch store. And after several years, turned to find out he was getting hosed by the people running that store.
Yeah.
Like, bad. Like, I read that and I was like, I don't run Slack. Here's some money. Bad. And it's like, okay. But there's a new way to finance it, Joe.
Yeah. So this is awesome. So now you can support Slackware on Patreon. And Slackware founder Patrick Volkerding started a Patreon to raise funds to keep Slack going. Yay! And I was remembering like Ven, there was concern that the project might have to end unless funds were raised to keep it going. And this is a very important distro. This was the first Linux distro I installed and cut my teeth on back in 1993, and how I learned Linux. And I am a Patreon now, but have donated money to Slack in years past. And for a donation of $1 or more, you should do the same. It's really awesome. Support Linux. And this was Linus's Linux distro, so it's very important.
Yeah, and it's Slackware. It's the old school of Linux. And if the old school of Linux is going to Patreon and saying, "Look, I need some money, and look, you want to help me and help Slackware still be a thing and be a thing for many, many years," Patreon. And I'm totally behind this. Good job. And he's already got 319 patrons. That's awesome. Is freaking awesome.
That is
awesome. Really, really awesome.
It's not commercial for Patreon, but one thing it does for ourselves included, it gives us a budget. We're like, okay, we know what we can spend each month.
Yeah.
With that type of setup, and the stuff costs money. Unfortunately, it's like, hey, maybe we need to start playing the lottery. Then we can win the lottery. Then we're just going to do it anyway because this is what we'd be doing anyway. Support Slackware. I add a principle because I get a lot of traction from, using Slackware 1.0. And it's like, this is as user-friendly as a coiled rattlesnake.
Yes.
Good learning times. Google didn't exist. Oh, hard mode.
X-Free 86 config all the things.
Think about, man, I wasn't trying to get X running on Slack. People who are making and contributing back to the Linux ecosystem, making things easier in their own way, are the rabid ninjas over at System 76.
Yeah. So this is the System 76 firmware updater. Yes. So the firmware manager supports checking and updating firmware from the LVFS and System 76 firmware services, is Wayland compatible, and provides both a GTK application and library. And I was so happy about this. Way to go, System 76, for making it platform agnostic via GTK app that will also work in all the window managers. Awesome. And this is also wonderful because the GUI firmware management software FWUPD from FWUPD has only been distributed via GNOME Software or KDE Discover, thus eliminating Linux distros that have their own software centers. So this will work on all the distros and all the window managers. Way to go, System
Yeah.
76. Yay!
So I remember about a year ago, it was more than a year ago at this point, there was this big fuss between System 76 and one of the GNOME developers. There was even a couple of blog posts basically calling each other out, where
Yeah.
System 76 decided, no, we're not going to use LVFS or FWUPD because we're doing our own thing. Yeah, I bet that GNOME person feels really smug right about now. Just saying.
Because this is the internet. We are not allowed to grow as a company or human or individual. You must be hard set in your tracks for all times on everything that you've said.
Oh no, by all means, change it is an
you will be judged as somebody who flip-flops, right? That's how it works.
Yeah.
Hi, internet.
You will always be judged.
Pedro remembers, man.
The internet remembers.
That's 100 things. Good news, everyone. KDN Live 19.08. It's out. The big highlight from this that you want to take a look at it is you can now do what they're aiming for, and they've made huge progress with this, is the full editing with keyboard shortcuts. I'm a big fan of that. That's the big seller in this release. Another thing is for when you're recording directly in KDN Live, because for some reason you want to do that, you can now control which channels that's coming through and sample rates.
Nice.
44, 100, 4800, anything like that. It's looking good. I'm down with it, and they're just showing off some of the things in our web zone. You go back in our show notes, check out all this nonsense of what they're working on and how it works. But every time I see a release, there's the nice little going from mono to stereo with your sample rates and all that. Good work. Good work on that. Still going to need some OpenCL or CUDA acceleration before I can go back to using it for these shows. I mean, the UI and usability, that's there with KDN Live. It's awesome. I use it to make the credits each and every week for these shows. But not having that grunt behind the timeline and rendering is very much like having a car analogy. Get ready. An Aston Martin powered by a 3-cylinder diesel engine. It's like, it looks nice. And, I like sitting down in it, and it's flashy and okay, let's race.
Oh.
And this is not an issue with KDN Live. This is an issue with MLT. But considering one doesn't work without the other, it's a great project, though. You guys do an excellent job.
Oh, awesome! And with this update, you can now view thumbnails of clips in the project bin. And you can play them back by hitting Shift. So you can see a preview of your movie or animation. And you can adjust the speed of a clip by pressing Control plus, dragging a clip in the timeline, which is really awesome. It used to be that would just control the duration of the clip on the timeline. And now you can do that as well as automatically speed up or decrease the speed of a clip. And to Vent's point, an open source video editing alternative that uses GPU rendering, albeit very experimental, is Shotcut. And it actually works really, really well. Shotcut isn't as powerful as KDN Live, but it does have GPU rendering now, which is really nice.
The GPU rendering, that's nice. The accelerated timeline stuff, this is what sold me immediately when I loaded up. Because I'm a closed source shill for Blackmagic hardware now. Is loading up one of our studio projects. And I was like, wait, this thing keeps up with me. I was like, I will learn all of this just from
DaVinci's
being
amazing.
able to fly through the timeline. DaVinci started its life as a Linux-only product.
Correct.
So that's definitely a thing. Great job, everyone. Also, the Cinderella, they've started experimental GPU acceleration.
They have.
On the timeline. Something that has had GPU acceleration built into it for some time now, Pedro, is everyone's favorite thing, OBS.
Well, if you have some video to edit, chances are you probably used OBS to get it. At least if you're trying to capture some windows on your desktop. But yeah, the one of the bits of functionality that was there was being able to use the GPU to decode videos if you added a video source to OBS directly instead of just capturing the window of a player or anything else. It used to be able to do hardware acceleration for that. That was broken. Past version, I think the past major release, it was basically broken the whole time. But they have fixed that. And being able to use the GPU while the CPU is taking care of the recording or the streaming is very important. It can lower the bitrate if you're streaming, if it detects that your network is like something happened and it took a bit of a dive. It will lower the bitrate if you set that option instead of dropping frames. If you prefer to have the frames dropped but not lower the bitrate because that can cause other issues, you can still keep that behavior. And Ven will probably talk more about this, but while there is no native browser capture directly from OBS, at least on Linux, that option is there for Windows, and they are improving on that option for Windows. It's just not there on Linux.
It's not there on Linux. They're still working on it on Windows, but they've been kicking that can down the road, passing that football for years on Linux. They're like, well, we're getting to it now. It's another project I back is OBS. And I know it's doable because somebody has basically taken Chromium and shoved it into a plugin. And it's like, why is this plugin 1.4 gigs? That's why. But it works. It's got issues, but it does work. OBS browser plugin on Linux. I would like to see that natively integrated. I think that'd be a little more beautiful, but go play with it. They got a good Discord.
Absolutely.
They got a good bot in their Discord and their build directory that keeps you updated. And Jim is a source of humor when you get the push of like, no, I said fix it, not break it more, and then bot update. So they've also added the ability to pause, which is like that's kind of interesting. So if you're streaming, you can pause. I can't imagine the use case, but hey, it's the thing.
Convenience.
It's there. All right, weebs. Something you've all been waiting for. Anime 4K, don't worry. There will be no tentacles because this is a high-quality, real-time anime upscaler. However, it will not prevent you from using said tentacles. State-of-the-art, open-source, high-quality, real-time anime upscaling algorithm that can be implemented in any programming language. So you can kind of see what it does, man. Bilinear, NGU, Waifu, 2X, and apparently there's competing applications to upscale anime.
And this surprises you how exactly?
I love learning things. This is now something I know. So it's 1.0 release candidate. You can play with it, and they've released the GLSL shaders for MPV. So check it out. If you like your old anime with a side of crisp, crispy tentacles. That's not going to be a show title, so don't even try it.
No. Although I could go for some calamaris, now that you mention it.
I want some sushi.
Yeah. It works with MPV, and honestly, I try to decipher what is going on, but I keep getting distracted by the pictures of anime, so I can never figure it out. I'm sure someone will let me know exactly how to do it. But yeah, it works with MPV, and MPV is that media player that I have, that I always use as like my go-to in the event that VLC can't play something or there's something weird going on with the audio. Like, let's try MPV. And for the most part, it does a very good job of that.
Yeah. You know, MPV and its M-player roots have always been a great way to play anime video files with subtitles a la MKV. In some circumstances, it's another reason why the anime animations are often in MKV, because they can do multiple subtitles with it. And MPV and M-player were always really good for the playback. So this really makes sense.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But then, waifu in 4K.
Dude, I'll
Yeah.
straight up throw down, watch some anime, but here's the problem I have with it. The same way with sports balls, like the local collegiate team in this town that I've adopted. I'm like, this is not bad. I enjoy this team. And I'll say that to somebody who's a sports nerd. And they're like, oh, what do you think about this? Well, last year, and I was like, I just F off. I don't know that much. I was like, team good. I like, what I watch, but I would never go through this much trouble. Not a chance. But hey, I'm glad it exists. That makes me happy.
Yeah.
A little bit of Blender news this week. Japanese anime studio. I'm going with Kahara. Does that sound legit?
Yeah.
Is
That
moving to
sounds legit.
Blender because Blender's the new hotness and they really dig it. I don't even know what this is. It's like one of their
You may know them as the people who are currently working on the rebuild of Evangelion.
Yeah.
That's definitely a thing. But they thought about doing this because it's going to be easier for them to work with. You'll touch that more in a minute. And we're just seeing more and more studios roll away from 3D Studio Max, which, you're looking at $1,500 per seat per year because they want Adobe on you. That's right.
Yeah.
Autodesk is like that. You got to buy it per year.
Yes.
Blender, low price of free, and, the whole grease pencil thing and all that. And it has the added benefit of running on something other than Windows. Period. So, Jill, hit me.
Yeah. So, and Blender's Grease Pencil, which integrates 2D animation with 3D, is an animator's dream and an industry standard first. And as Kara states, we finally got a 3D creation tool like paper and pencil. Yay! So having both 3D and 2D integrated makes the workflow much easier because you don't have to transition between several programs and convert to several different file formats, which is the bane of an animator's existence with files that don't convert correctly. Believe me, I've known this for the last 30 years. And so this totally makes sense. And I think many more animation studios are going to follow suit for sure. This is a really a great move in the industry, and it's showing the power of Blender. It's really awesome.
Honestly, I just want to see the rebuild of Evangelion 3.0 plus 1.0. It's been a long time, guys. Come on.
All
Yes.
right, calm down, Wade.
Just put a bow on it. Please.
Yes.
Please.
Open drop. What is it?
Well, Open Drop is an open source airdrop, as the name would imply. Very clever naming scheme. I think Jordan would be proud. The project, basically what it does is it gives you an open source alternative that is compatible with Apple's airdrop. And the way that they currently have it working, the only way that, say, if you have an iPhone or an iPad and you want to use airdrop to drop something into whatever box is running this, you will need to set it.
You could put it in your Raspberry Pi. You could go war-pieing.
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
you can totally just random drop strangers, but they have to have their phones set to receive files from everyone. And after the incident that happened a couple of years ago, that a lot of people were being airdropped genital pics of strangers, they probably don't have that as the default anymore. And yeah, my suggestion would be for Apple to allow people to trust specific devices. I'm pretty sure it wouldn't kill them if they added that bit of functionality. But knowing this is Apple we're talking about, that's not going to happen.
Nah, they'll find a way to kill it. Jill?
Yeah.
Oh, I think this is a wonderful open source alternative to Apple's AirDrop, and it's just nice to have one. And this OpenDrop doesn't support multiple file sending like AirDrop does, but it may in the future. But that's a functionality that's not crucial yet. So as long as you can send your files via open source and terminal, should be happy. Really cool.
Okay, and the next one comes from us from down under.
Yeah,
Mr.
from
Foxdog.
M. Foxdog. And speaking of the bane of an animator's existence, such as myself or M. Foxdog, this gets rid of the noise, or what I like to call the moire pattern, most commonly seen in animation renders of ray-traced or path-traced lifelike scenes and objects. Intel's Open Image Denoise is an open source library of high-performance, high-quality denoising filters for ray-traced rendered images and animations. And it's really amazing how it works. It significantly reduces render times because it is using artificial intelligence. And what an awesome use of deep learning. This is perfect to make our animation renders a lot faster. And this will make it easier for studios like Disney, who is represented in that preview that Ven showed. So this is just really cool, and I know Foxy's been playing with it, and I'm gonna have fun playing with this because actually this is kind of revolutionary in the
I
industry.
mean, it's Intel Technologies open sourcing
Yes.
something that is genuinely useful.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Good on
Yeah.
them. So before we bounce out of here, we have one last little bit about distro hopping, because some people they don't like to they don't like to use Linux. They like to make Linux something to do, and this is one way to streamline that process.
Yeah, so this is DistroTest. Several months ago, when I found out about DistroTest, it was fairly new. I went to the website to test running a distro, and it gave me an error. Their servers were inundated with requests because so many people found out about it at once and wanted to test running live distros online. Now it works beautifully, and I just ran several of my favorite distros, including Damn Small Linux and Crux, without a hitch. And it even ran on mobile. I was so happy to get it to run on my OnePlus One. And the mouse does lag, of course, but that is expected because you are viewing the distros via QEMU hosted window with VNC through a web browser. So yeah, there's going to be some slowdown, so expect that. But for testing distros, this is awesome. You don't have to use, CD-ROMs and live USBs anymore, or run them in a VM. You can just test them on the website. It's amazing. Distrotest.net.
And yeah, if you are one of those people that's actively looking, it's like, I want to find a perfect distro. Well, this
Yes.
saves you from having to spool up a VM or even like flashing some live distro onto a USB drive. You go to a website, it's like, I want to try that one.
Yes.
I want to try that one.
Awesome.
And when you're done, you need to realize something. The perfect distro is the one you're currently running. What you need to focus on is how to turn it into that.
It's been in
Yes.
your heart
Yes.
all along.
That's right.
Yes.
Everything's in our heart, kind of like the beautiful people supporting all the fun stuff we do each and every week over at patreon.com/Linux Gamecast. 114 of you are making the show possible. It's how we pay the bills. It's how we keep track of stuff and do all the fun things. If you want to join that, get access to our Discord. You get early access to our show notes, an entire extra hour of LGC every week available in the audio RSS feed. It's kind of brilliant. I want to thank everybody for making this possible. You the real MVPs. We have a new person this week who has increased their pledge because we're so awesome.
Yeah,
Yes.
Acid Monkey has increased his pledge. Thank you so much. He hasn't been in chat much. It's been a long time, but thank you so much, Acid Monkey, and feel free to come in on our
You'll get
And
around
I'm
to it. I got
guessing
faith.
you're probably not watching anymore, Acid Monkey. That's why you increased your pledge. That's cool. Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Please feel free to come in on Discord.
There we go. We got
I'm
it.
sorry.
You are beautiful. We got some affiliate links on the web zone if you want to take a look at those. Thanks everybody kicking in on that. We got a Amazon thing with a wish list and all that fun stuff. We have a list of all the studio hardware that if you're ever curious about everything in here and how we make it kind of work, air quotes around work, because we are treading new ground with a lot of stuff we do. There's no manual, so you have to deal with me week by week. I think that's about it. LibrePay, all that fun stuff. Keep being awesome. Now, let's get into a slice of pie.
Pie. It's a teeny tiny little
Yum.
slice of pie this week. But then again, you
Aw.
got a big show, so don't be greedy. It's another pie tablet. We've seen this done many, many times, but this one is slightly different.
Is
got
that
a
a pie
handle.
tablet, or is that keyboard crooked, or is it just me?
I think that's just the bad shoop. The tablet itself is running on a custom PCB that the people behind it built to house. It's based on a PCB that's currently widely available. It costs around $130 without VAT. But yeah, they took that and slightly customized it so that it would run the compute module for the Raspberry Pi 3. If you have one of those kicking around for some reason, you can turn that and this little PCB into a tablet. The one that they have the picture on the website, it's got an 8-inch screen, which is pretty good. Like tablet wise, I've used the NVIDIA Shield for many years, and that is a very good tablet size. The case, they say you could 3D print yourself, and looking at the pictures, that is clearly what they did, and it doesn't look terrible. I've seen much worse 3D prints, to be honest. Yeah, it's not a bad project. I just wish that someone would actually make a tablet that's worth using, and it's worth your the time investment that you will need to put it together yourself, because that is something I want to do. Again, I'm still using that NVIDIA Shield because, hey, guess what? Android tablets, not really a thing anymore. So,
speaking of Android tablets, man, I posted a link, go find it yourself, on Twitter, the HD10, $99 right now if you're in the States.
Oh, that's pretty
cool.
good.
Which that gets entry. He was like, but it's fire. Oh, you can install Lineage on it now.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for a cheap Tinker tab that's got a 1080p screen and technically it has battery life, go for that. It's beautiful.
Technically.
Well, here's the thing. My gold standard is my Nexus 10, which has a 9,000 milliamp battery.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's a pretty big battery.
Exactly. So you can leave that thing unplugged for weeks and it still runs. It's kind of brilliant. So let's bounce out of here. Maybe you want to tell us about your adventures, your 3D printed pies. And we're like, man, that's just called mixing it in a bowl and cooking it. But how could they do that, Pedro? How?
You could do that very easily. You could even leave us a voicemail. There's a number somewhere.
I was about to say, you want to fill that in because I don't know it by heart.
Yeah, no, there's a number somewhere. I'm sure we'll figure out a way to work on the interwebs and put it on the contact page if you'd like to leave us that voicemail. But if you'd like us to read your message right here, right now, on this very segment, the feedback, it's called. You can go to loosgamecast.com, you hit the contact button, and you fill out the form. Make sure you pick LWDW. You can also pick LGC Weekly for that foul-mouthed Saturday show, What We Do. Or you can ask Jordan for some relationship advice. And if you're a game developer and you'd like to send us keys, just make sure to include 3, please. Okay?
I'm just thinking, man, now we get the number lit up, we could do wub lines. Where Jordan handles relationship problems while I just blast dubstep behind him, to the point where it's hard to concentrate. It'll be great. Wub lines.
Oh.
It'll be brilliant. All right. One chunky bit
yes, very chunky.
Yeah.
Fairness. File sharing app. I'm behind in my podcast, but in LWDW 179, the 32-minute mark. Ooh, precise. I like that. You discuss teleport to share files. Yes. I would suggest Tukto, as it is, where's the apostrophe, cross-platform and open source. Also, I use Razer Tartarus and have a Nostromo N52 and N50 for gaming. After updating to 1804, no longer remaps keys. I'm thinking it's permission problem. Pedro, help me. How do I fix it? It still runs. It works. As my N52 still remaps, activating the LED lights on the device, but not the keys. Developer has smoke bombed on me. Thoughts, KB Master works. I would like not to have to clock through a GUI to select my key layout for every game. Any suggestions on where do I turn for fixing this, Pedro?
Well, what is it? Keymaster, KB Master. Was actually, if I'm not mistaken, developed by Michael Speth, which used to be person who watched the show. He really didn't like the fact that we played Rocket Cars. But if you really don't like the GUI, there is a way you can test to see if it's a permissions issue. Basically, just chmod 660 dev/uinput. I had a look through your GitHub and I saw the script, and that's loading the uinput module into the kernel. So yeah, just change that change the dev uinput permissions to 660 and see if that lets you remap. If it does, just create a udev rule to set that permanently for your user group. I left an example of one in the show notes. You can go look at them. That should work. That's basically the same rule that the Steam controller uses for letting people set keyboard strokes and mouse movement to the analog pads and the buttons. So it should work.
Thank you for putting in the show notes. I look forward for that security alert from tomorrow until the end of days from our software that scans our website and is like, what be this?
It's a UDEV rule.
It don't care, man. It looks sketchy. All right, beautiful people. Thanks for showing up. We'll be back next week. We're going to roll the credits and keep being awesome.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
It's just a UDEV
Here,
rule,
I think
man.
I can. Ben Stone, Pedro Mateus.
And a Jill!
Yeah.
Oh, I should mention, that's also a very similar UDEV rule to the one I have set for my Rocat mouse. To rebind all the keys, yeah. Look at all the producers. The lovely, lovely producers.
They're awesome. We love you all. Yay.
184 episodes.
Wow. I know, it's amazing.
It's all thanks to you. Every single one of you. Thank you.
We love you.
Bye.
There's a Ben.
What do you mean?
Oh, you were just quiet.
What's wrong with being quiet, Joe? Why do you hate silence?
No.
And let's see. After shows, we'll hang out for 10 minutes.
Yes.
We'll bounce
Good for
out of
me.
here.
Yeah.
You don't, Linda. Don't do that to yourself. Look at it as you've escaped some of it.
Oh, cycling in a rain.
How dare you, Rain?
Because I'm cycling in the rain.
Can you feel it on your fingertips?
Linda, hello.
I'm doing arts and crafts.
Mhm.
I apologize. Ah, that didn't work. Is it? Ah. Really, Gimp? I mean, you were about to have it out, son. It's Gimp's fault I don't know the keyboard shortcuts, by the way.
GIMP does this annoying thing. I don't know if it's a KDE thing or if it does that in other desktop environments, but if I open it, it will spawn wherever my mouse is, on whichever screen my mouse is. So I usually use it in the UHD screen because it's got all that room and I can have all of the toolboxes open and everything and still have a bunch of room left for the picture itself. And every now and then it spawns in one of the 1080p monitors. It's like, I can't see anything. Why did you do this to me, GIMP?
I don't have a problem with GIMP. The only thing that, like, Discord likes to, because I have the one in portrait mode,
Yeah.
Show
remembers
notes.
its window position.
Discord likes to jump to that one and like threaten
Yeah.
to start on it, but it comes back to where it's supposed to be. But as I've said, Thunderbird and Firefox always start like in that width.
Yeah, no, Firefox, I had to basically use the Kwin window rules to tell it, no, you start there. Remember that.
Okay, Jill, what did I just show you?
What did you just show me?
Put it in Discord. I've done this to Pedro.
Yes.
Yes, I have.
Oh. I see the line.
Yeah, that red line needs to align with the microphone.
I mean, if you're laughing, by all means, look to the side, but yeah.
You
Well,
gotta move the microphone because the entire show you've been talking again. We gotta work on it. I don't know what we gotta do, but when you're talking like that, it's a different sound. We've talked about it. I just thought I'd give you a visual example.
Okay. I didn't realize I was
You
doing
can
that
do that
today.
with your arm. You can just reach it a bit more and then turn
Well, the
the
easiest solution
clamp
would
on the
be to
microphone
move.
towards you.
Instead of that, if you moved, because your show notes are to the left of you, that's when you talk across it the hardest. It's when you're reading your notes.
Actually, they're right above me.
Well, where you're looking right now,
Yeah.
that is where you're normally looking and talking. Not
Yeah, point the
ahead.
bottom of your microphone to the bottom of the show notes.
Or move the notes to your right.
Oh.
So you're
Or,
looking.
Okay,
yeah,
I
move
see.
the notes window to behind the microphone.
There.
You always got to watch out with Jordan. Jordan does a good job, but he talks into the pop filter sometimes and it gets disconnected from the mic. They're like, you're nailing that pop filter. You just got to get it.
Huh.
The rain stopped? Man, I would rather walk 9 miles in the rain. Because, I mean, if it's
Yeah,
rain,
considering the heat, yeah.
yeah. Like, long as I was guaranteed, like, continuous rain
Mm-hmm.
and not, like, halfway through. And it's like, hi, sun. Oh, no.
And now I'm boiling. Thanks.
LXLE? What's that? Some new advanced version?
No, it's a distro.
Oh.
Also based on Ubuntu. It uses LXDE and Compton. Or is it XComp Manager? I don't remember. I tried it once. It's like, oh, it's got all the fancy stuff. LXDE is not supposed to have the fancy stuff. It's supposed to be like bare bones. What are you doing?
Yeah, Pennywise. I saw the newest Preacher. I love it that they know that this is the end of the series and they don't have a lot of time. I'm just going to say, with the Undertaker character, there was a scene I was like, how are they going to pull that off? Oh, all right. That saves a lot of time. Right at the end of the episode. No spoilers, but yeah. It's like, that's some quick writing right there. It's like, okay, done.
It's like, that's... Oh, that character just outright spelled it for me. Thank you.
Well, there's that, and like right at the beginning of last week's episode, you're like, or at the end of the week before last, you're like, how was that? And they're like, they just did. That's how. Deal with it. You're like, okay, that's how we're rolling, which is great. But then Casty does the pump action hero type thing, and that was pretty good. I was like, all right, it's gonna. Yeah, they're getting away, but they don't care at this point. They know that this is the end.
Yeah. And when he said, it's like, so what are you gonna do when you're free? I'm gonna kill you. It's like, but why?
Mhm.
Oh, right, that's why. Right, gotcha.
Old hardware? You mean like first gen Ryzen. Those are vintage, right?
You know what runs really well on old hardware, Pennywise? Linux. Seriously, pick a distro, install OpenBox on it. Look, it runs great.
It depends on what you're trying to run, man. I mean, people try to find a way, man. Go to ROBS. There's no shortage of people with i3s. Like, people with these optiplexes, like, man, I gotta stream my Fortnite.
You can play Fortnite?
See, asking the real questions. Pedro Mateus, ladies and gentlemen.
I mean, sure, on one of the 7060s or 7050 with a 1050 Ti on it, sure. But we're talking like Coffee Lake, Sky Lake,
Man, Epic.
that level of processor.
We're not going to cover it on the show, but did you see I think I posted or like retweeted earlier this week is Epic approached the company like, yo, we would like your game to be an exclusive on our store. And they're like, nah, we're not down with that, but we'd like to be on your store. And they're like, nah, we don't want you on our store. We just wanted you to be an exclusive on our store.
Mm-hmm. And the way that the dude actually describes it's like, yeah, the moment I set my release date on Steam and I showed up on the upcoming ones, they immediately contacted me. It was like a matter of 2 or 3 hours. It's like, oh, Valve, what are you doing? Because Epic are literally looking at your upcoming game. Oh, that's why they're changing it now. Clever, Valve. Very clever.
Oh no, man. All right, everyone, we got to bounce out of here. We're counting down T-minus 25. Everybody have a sexy Wednesday. Have fun doing whatever you're going to be doing because you're going to be awesome.
Yeah.
It's hump day. Make use of it.
That's right. You got 2 more days. 2 more days of drudgery until Friday rolls around. That'll be fun. You know, you always have like Thursdays. Thursdays pregame, man. You know?
Yeah.
Thursdays used to be a horrible day for me a long time ago.
You can feel it. And then you got Friday. Friday's sailing into the weekend. It's going to be brilliant. All right, everyone. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye, everyone. Love you.